Right. Live. Welcome in, tweakers and festers. Today we're a special treat for me. Come on in, come on in. Come on in. We are setting up the camp kitchen here in anticipation of a ribeye cook-off taste test. The grass-fed versus the grain-fed. What's the matter? You is in the house. Well, shit, yeah. Well, it's after 2 p.m., so I guess that makes sense. I'll get things a little bit set up here with the outdoor kitchen. I wasn't going to set all this stuff up until I got to the other site. Jody in the house? Is Jojo your new nickname? Jojo. Yo, Jojo. Welcome in, welcome in. Smash that like button, everybody. And get the algorithm. Yeah, right. Need that YouTube algorithm to just rolling out of bed. There you go. Justin in the house. La Rata. All right. Well, so a few more victims fester their way in here. But we got some kind of reconfigured my camp stove here. We got some wood ready to go. Got my propane cooker. I don't think I'm going to use that today. I got my little studio set up. I got some lights set up on the vehicles here in case it gets dark. But and it's the return of the ginormous lighter. Look at the size of that thing. So let's light up a smoke. Where's Dad at? I'm sure he's ready for a smoke. It's not the most practical thing. It's hard to hold, even one-handed. And that's, I guess I could fiddle with the valve here, but that's as high as the flame goes. I want that smoke, so let's meet our contenders here. In the big rib fester fest. So this was the grain fed from yesterday. I was doing some meat deboning, so this was part of my pay here. So this is nice red looking grass fed chunk of cow. And then this is nasty old grain fed conventionally raised ribeye, $15 a pound, that I've been loving for the last 2.5 months. So we're gonna find out what this tweaker prefers. I think they'll both be fine, but I'm expecting the grass fed to have a little bit extra flavor. So we are going to season it up with our secret spice there, the Cattle Boys all-purpose, just because I love that so much. Maybe I'll just try to keep it on half so we can get a true taste of the unseasoned versus, you know, the grass-fed versus the ribeye. But let's see what we gotta grab. I gotta grab a fork. Well, let's start a fire. It's gonna take a while for a fire to warm up, so we may as well deal with that right now. So. Festers driving by there. I think that might have been the owner. Don't know, don't care. All right. So we got some birch bark donated from one of the local trees here, which there's many paper birches surrounding this site. Get some kindling going. For fire starter, this stuff's pretty good. Should be pretty good. Better than the volatiles like gasoline I was using before to start fires, or even paper. We'll see if that actually catches. So this is some dry wood I was carrying around in the RV low these many weeks. So this should catch. Birch bark is a little lethargic here. Piece over here. I'm continuing to tweak out on the Motorhead YouTube content. Old interviews with Lemmy Kilmister, and Mickey D. And some really, really fun stuff there. Come on, boys. Let's go. Need fire. I'll check in with you chatterfesters in a second here. Yeah, we might be pulling out the gasoline. Everything is pretty soggy around here. But it didn't snow today. And I did see the mountain back there. You can kind of see the mountain to the south. Trees are blocking it. At least the clouds are not taking over today. Another very nice day in south central British Columbia. Pretty mild. Just about freezing. It didn't even get below freezing last night. All right, let's throw them steaks on. Like we got some kind of fire here. So we'll get a good bed of coals going, and then I'll push the coals to the back and grill them on that nasty old steel grate. Hopefully they won't fall through. I might have a grill here somewhere. Everything's packed away. I'm not going digging for it. All right. So we'll keep feeding that sucker. I'll get some bigger chunks of wood there as well. Where are we at here? Get my Dr. Pepper. Grain Raised looks like it lives very unhappy. Mr. Osgood in the house. Hello, hello. Come on in, everybody. You have actual man hands? Wasn't there that Seinfeld episode with a woman with man hands? So it doesn't really say much. I got filthy farmer fingers here. All right, we have fire, we have tobacco, we have pepper. The good doctor is in the house. We got, what else we got? We got gigantic lighters. And I need a knife to get into that. So this is grass-fed. This was frozen as of a week ago. So it's just been sitting unrefrigerated for a little while. Nice and dark. Just comparing, there's some marbling in there. I cooked up one of my pork chops from my piggies the other day. And this one has some marbling too. So this one has some potential. This might not be too bad. Just comment, I was helping debone the carcass yesterday, and it's a relatively small animal that they harvested. And the thing with the grass-fed, I mean, I can give you my approach, but you have to feed the steer longer to get them up to size. So cattle, they do convert sunbeams in the form of plant matter into protein. And if you give them a little boost at the right time with some grain, which is towards the end of their maturity, they'll put on weight, and then the fat will work its way through the animal's physiology and muscle tissue. And so you'll get more mass, more protein, and more fat. So I wasn't there for the slaughter, so I didn't see how much fat there was on the carcass. From what I understand, they kept the beef tallow, the beef fat, over at the farm. So these are pretty lean looking carcasses. There wasn't a lot of fat on the portions I was cutting up, which is fine, but to get the full experience of the grass-fed, yeah, it's kind of lean like wild game, like deer or moose. So you can see there's a little bit of fat that was hanging onto the rib cage there on the tail here. This one, the package for retail sale, this has been stripped of all the fat. So whatever it is the marbling in the meat itself, which it's not a ton, but I've been enjoying that ribeye. So I think they'll be pretty close to the same texture. I'm just curious about the flavor. And kind of my approach to raising animals is slow, steady growth. So, you know, a lot of the feedlots or factory hog barns. Buddy, you don't have to bark at everything. You're good. Yeah? The festering is over here, not over there. It's kind of like building a house. You want to build a solid foundation, and then add the fancy accoutrements, which is the fat and the marbling. So if you got a solid frame on the animal, and then especially with cattle, let them get up to a decent size on hay and grain pasture, or hay and pasture. What? Some grasses. You want to be on camera? Nobody wants to see you. Okay, let's see if we can fester them on over here. Nobody cares about you. We're making dinner. All right, so Max wants to be in the frame. Hopefully he doesn't knock anything over. He's already festering, or he's festered several times today. Okay, just find a place to chill, buddy. Yeah, there goes the camera. Oh, come on. Yeah. Festers like no other. So it's already when starting an animal, you got to get the mass up before you pack on the fat. And in the factory system, a lot of times they're just fed a diet to get them up to size as quickly as possible. Get them to market, butcher it as quickly as possible. So you're getting an animal that was grown quickly, matures very young, or gets up to butcher size very young. In Canada, I think a lot of the hog barns, they're butchering animals as little as 180 pounds live weight, which is pretty small for me. I would, there's nothing wrong with that size of animal, but and they're doing that in an amount of time that you probably wouldn't believe. It's probably like in the 10-12 week time frame. From piglet to pork chop in like 3 months. Whereas back on the farm, if I'd have spring piglets, I wouldn't be harvesting them until this time of year. And they'd be in the 250 pound range or more. But likewise with cattle, like it's kind of we got here daily in the house. Welcome in, welcome in. Hope you brought your appetite. We're having ribeye, which I gotta feed this fire a little more chunky stuff. So we got Max in the house helping. Let's throw some bigger pieces in here. Get some coals happening. Yeah, Max, as much as you think you're helping, you're not helping. Let's go. All right. So yeah, I kind of broke down and ended up setting up some of my camp kitchen here. I didn't want to do it on this site. I want to get over to the other site, but as I explained yesterday, the Winnebago needs a coil and the truck is running like shit. So, I mean, I could bring the truck and trailer over there, but it's kind of nicer to have everything just right here. So next week I can get a coil for the camper. There's a local parts store, but they have to order it in from Vancouver, and I wouldn't see it till Tuesday here locally. And I'm going to Kamloops anyway, most likely on Tuesday. So I'm gonna pick up a replacement coil on warranty, and I'll just buy an extra coil. I gotta figure out why this thing is burning through coils. I got the right voltage, everything's very nice. Who we got? Tag in the house showed up. Dad's here. All right. Hope you brought your tweaks, because we're gonna feast, not fester, but we're gonna feaster on ribeye. So for those of you who joined in late, we got one of these here. These are one of the $15 pound ribeyes that I've been enjoying. Just conventionally raised Canadian beef, AAA, grass-fed, grain finished. Don't know where it came from, somewhere in Canada. And then yesterday, the fresh, almost unnaturally red looking grain-fed cow, steer. Don't call it a cow, it's a steer. Cow is a female. So we're gonna do a cook-off, taste-off. And Max is gonna help. Well, his taste buds are much better than mine. So we'll see. I'm expecting a similar experience as far as the texture, because they have very similar marbling characteristics. I think it's just gonna be the flavor that's gonna be the difference. So I'm gonna try to season only half of them. I gotta bring out my secret sauce. May as well go grab that as well as a knife. So let's go for a little walk. As well, I hooked up my furnace today, so we got some hot exhaust coming out of there. Let's go check the temperature inside this tub. Come on. Let's get some lights on in here too. All right, let's. So yeah, the furnace is behind there, chugging away. Seems like it's warmed up in here. Let's see where are we at here? It's still hovering right around 60, so it's not warming up terribly fast, but turn it up a bit. Make sure it's still running. Yeah, oh no, that's warm. All right, we need a fork. That's not a fork. A fork. Knife. Secret sauce. Here it is. Gourmet seasoning. Courtesy of Cattle Boys. Made in India or no, Okotoks, Alberta. All right, we're good. Okotoks is just south of Calgary, Alberta, where they know a little bit about cattle. I don't know about Cattle Boys. Okay, I'm just gonna put this down. Got a plate there. Got meat there. Got smokes there. Got Dr. Pepper there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let this shit burn down. Who's here? So Dr. Osgood is here. Yeah, 10 to 12 weeks. Like it's, it almost kind of defies what your brain wants to comprehend. Like it's a very short time frame from the farm to the processing plant. How, I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day, and I talked about this before, about cattle prices and what beef prices are going to do in the new year. It's not good. Typically you'd here, a good vantage point of some pines here. Cedar behind me there. Very nice locale here. So a lot of cattle producers, beef producers, they'll have their calving either in the springtime or the fall time. So through the course of spring and summer, that newborn calf will be on his mother nursing for 3 months, 6 months, getting up to size, and then starting to sample whatever pasture is available as it matures and hangs around with the rest of the herd. And then when it comes to selling that calf, they sell it at what's called a feeder size. And that's anywhere from about 400 pounds live weight to 800 pounds. And it's kind of in that range. That's when the buyers, they'll pay top dollar for those animals. And so once those buyers buy them at auction, they get shipped all over the place to different farmers that have a finishing operation. So they'll get that 400 to 800 pound animal up to about 12 to 1500 pounds. And depending on the breed, that animal will put on X amount of pounds per day. So, these guys have it dialed in. They know exactly how long, from the time that animal is shipped to their finishing operation to when they could take it to auction. And they might hold on to an animal if the prices are down, but the prices have been up for the last year and a half. So say the original farmer who calved that animal holds on to it from March until, say, he likes the prices in November, or the prices really, there's usually a big auction back home in October, middle of October. There's two pretty big sales that we had back home in Grunthal. So that's say March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So that's 8 months. And then it might take a year from that time to get that animal up to size for butchering. So we're talking a year and 8 months. So that's anywhere from 16 to 20 months. Now with grass-fed, to get that same animal just on grass, and so for the last, with a conventional operation, the farmer will put that animal on feed, some kind of ration. It's usually just in the last 4 months or so that they want to start really packing on the weight and the fat. So the animal will get mostly grass, pasture, hay, until the farmer decides it's time to bulk up. And so then the ration will change to more than just grass. It might be corn, might be soy, might be oats. Oats and barley are great. How much per pound in I have no idea. I don't buy meat. All right. I hadn't bought meat besides this stuff, this ribeye. So that's $15 a pound, but that's not the real price. It's probably closer to 20 or 25 a pound for ribeye. Ground beef, I was looking in the store the other day. They had regular ground beef. It looked like pound packages for $8, and lean ground beef for $9 a pound, and then there was extra lean. I don't know why you'd want extra lean ground beef, but people like it for some reason. Gotta have that fat. Fat is good for your brain, if you have one, I guess. Don't believe all that propaganda about low-fat diet. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. Your brain needs fat. Your brain needs cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol. But again, back to our cattle discussion. So yeah, 16 to 20 months for a conventionally raised animal. With a grass-fed, to get them to 1,000, 1,200 pounds, it's going to be 2 years plus. So there's nothing wrong with that. But again, the fat profile is going to be different. The nutrient protein profile is going to be different. And it takes longer to bring that animal up. So 1,500 pounds times 8 taxes for the year. Maybe you were asking about a live weight. So yeah, at the auction, I'd have to look it up, but it was getting outrageous. It was about $4.50 a pound for calves, like those 400 to 800 pound squirts. So those feeders were selling, and it depends on the size of the animal. Like from 400 to 500 pounds, there was a set price. From 500 to 600, there's a price. From 6 to 7, there's a price, and 7 to 8, there's a price. And it's anywhere like from $4.25 a pound to $4.75 a pound, depending on the size of the animal. And the buyers, they're buying certain sized animals. So some guys won't bid on the smaller animals versus the bigger, and vice versa. And then you got a lot of, and I'm talking like the institutional buyers, the ones that are selling to the big feedlots and whatnot. You've got your little private guys that will buy a feeder animal and fatten them up. We had a lot of Amish coming in, so they'd bring their sorry ass looking cattle in and buy other cattle. But that $3.25 to $3.75 a pound, that's been about for the last year. Cattle prices have been high at auction. And then when I was working at the auction, that was like back in 2023 or 22, I can't even remember. The price was closer to $2.25 a pound. $1.95 a pound for steers. And it kind of slowly started going up and up and up until at the beginning of 2024, like people just couldn't believe the prices they were getting for their animals. And it was great for the producers, but the reality of the food economy is all that higher priced beef is set to be hitting the shelves now. So like back at the beginning of 2024, guys were still buying animals fairly cheap. And as through the season, as it went up, they had to purchase more expensive animals. And so a lot of what you're seeing on the shelves now whether it's boxed and frozen and then shipped to your local supermarket or meat shop or butcher shop, we're still buying a lot of that cheaper priced cattle in the form of beef, cuts of beef. And so the more expensive calves, they're going to be set to hit the market and the shelves in the new year here. And so if you thought inflation on food was bad now, beef prices are about to get kind of outrageous. So so watch for that. I guess the way around that, like it's got to the point where guys are not even bothering to sell sides of beef butchered themselves because they get so much more at the auction. So even if you have a local farmer, yeah, this is not everybody, but it's almost not worth your while to hire a butcher, make sure you have a buyer for a whole animal or a half an animal, and deal with all that trouble when you could just drive the animal on the back of your trailer, take him to the auction mart, and get your payday. And then if you do find farmers willing to sell, it might be a lot more than what you've paid in the past. I remember buying beef not fresh off the farm, but buying carcasses for like $3.50 a pound, $4 a pound, and now it's close to $6 a pound. Last time I asked, it might be even more at this point. So so the producers are, it's not that they're discouraging people from buying from them, it's just they know what they can get for that same animal if they fed it. And the farmers, a lot of them, they butcher animals for themselves to eat. But it's almost, there's no point in offering sides of beef to your friends and neighbors anymore, because you end up getting more just feeding the animal and selling it. So it's kind of a weird dynamic going on. So just giving you the heads up there. All right, I'm gonna go fetch. No, I'm not gonna fetch Max. You can watch. Let's see. Let's. Oh no, my camera's covered. He's. Can we expand that? Yeah. Here he is, watching intently from the jump seat there. He called shotgun. So there you have it. There's my my beef agroeconomics lesson for the day. Oh, that was exhausting. Smoke. And of course, regionally you got variations, but the general trend that I've been observing is that cattle prices have gone up to kind of almost unimaginable levels, and it's not quite clear why. So again, it's great that the producers are finally getting a good price for their efforts. Where in the past, the producers were getting shit, and the prices were still high because it was all the middlemen in that supply chain that were taking their pound of flesh, so to speak. And so really that whole animal agriculture economic system is vastly different than it was even 20 years ago. Even a lot of the meat shops or processing places, they don't dry hang their carcasses once they come in, after slaughter. They cut them up pretty fresh after they've been chilled, and then they get boxed and frozen. Some geese on the pond there, yakking away. Weird sounding geese, man. And so meat is different. Beef is different, for sure. So my solution to that is, yeah, get together, small group of people, invest in some land, get a little hobby farm operation going, raise your 2 or 3 or 4 animals a year, and you can still buy calves. But, oh, that's another thing. Like dairy farmers, they would bring in their day-old Holstein calves. Typically the steers, or even bull calves. And you used to be able to get a bull calf for like less than $100. Now, someone said at auction, a day-old calf from a dairy barn is selling for like $1,000 to $1,500. Whereas those 400-pound calves, you know, they're 400 to 800-pound calves. They're getting you, well, what's 800 times 4? That's all. It's like $3,500 an animal. At $4.50 a pound, so, or whatever the price is. I'm just going by memory. I haven't checked the market prices in some time. But okay, I think we're almost at cookability stage here. So let's see what we got to work with here. Pine needles all over the meat. Extra spice, I guess. Nice. Looky here. Got some beef. A little sniff test. You smell that? Yeah, this just might just be aged beyond what's normal. Smell that chunk of meat. That one has very little aroma at all. So this was not hung for any significant amount of time. So we're going to season up the fat portions, the fat ends only. And we'll leave the tails unseasoned. Just so we can get a true taste comparison. This seasoning has just got a nice sweetness to it. It's sweet and a little bit of zip. Some flaked peppers or something in there. Onion, garlic, salt. All that lovely stuff. One on this side. Again, this red chunk here, the grass-fed, that was just butchered or slaughtered, depending on the terminology. Some guys say the slaughtering is the butchering and that the processing is called meat cutting, not butchering. This was just slaughtered, this red chunk, on Wednesday or Thursday. I forgot which day. So basically just hung overnight and then chilled, and then they started cutting it Friday. And then I was helping cut debone yesterday morning. So, let's see here. What's that fire doing? There's some holes to the back. That should be fine. And as you know me, pieces of meat aren't going to spend a lot of time over this fire anyway. I like it pretty blue. So there we go. The steak is on its way. Get frame here. Okay, let's see what the festers are saying here. Ground beef is $7 per pound in New York. A little undercooked. Just be patient, my friend. We'll cook them, we'll cook them. They're getting cooked. Flame broiled. That one's getting a little too flame broiled. Yeah, I didn't want to do this this comparison with propane. I had to do the legit fire grilled. Festery. And then that's the other thing. We were talking about those shitcoin meme coins yesterday a bit. I was gonna do a whole discussion on my limited knowledge of getting involved in that. I think it was daily. It was kind of unclear of how the whole scam works. And it is a scam, but as I was saying, once you know the scam, then you can work the scam, be a part of it, instead of just wondering Is it a scam? Well, I'm telling you, it's a scam. But like any investment, the secret is buy low, sell high. And if you've been following the news, you know a lot of these cryptos are always being talked about, the Bitcoins and the, I don't know about it. What are the other big ones that everybody's talking about? Like those ones, if you hadn't bought in years ago, I wouldn't delve into those because they're already priced pretty high. Whereas these meme coins or other coins that have a low valuation, low market capitalization, you benefit from any growth that occurs. Oh yeah, nice pastry. As the value of the coin increases, then your stake increases, and you can sell and convert that crypto back into American dollars or pesos or rubles or whatever you choose. So on the particular platform I'm using, it's based on Solana. So you buy Solana with American dollars, Canadian dollars, put it in your wallet, which can be either a virtual wallet or you can actually have a physical wallet, similar to like a USB stick, a physical, it's like a hard drive, and it's secure. So you buy whatever crypto, in this case it's Solana, and then you purchase the meme coins. They're all valued based on Solana. So if you had one Solana coin, you could take and buy 0.1 of my tiny coin, 0.1 of a Solana of Pump.farm, the Bowser coin. I think he has another sorry ass coin, I forget what it's called. And that 0.1 of a Solana will buy you 1 million or 2 million or 3 million of these very low price coins. And then as more people purchase, the market capitalization goes up, which is really just an indicator of how secure the coin is in relation to the rest of the market of what's available out there. And as the valuation of the coin increases, say tiny coin, if it goes and increases 10 times, well, you can sell your tiny coin, convert it back to Solana, convert it back to American dollars, or reinvest. You can keep reinvesting if you feel confidence in that coin. So it takes a little bit of strategy, but like I say, it's pretty low stakes. If you're dealing with one Solana, which is whatever, I have no idea what they're worth today, but Solana fluctuates, you know, goes down to 150, goes up to 220 or 230. It's kind of irrelevant. You'll always be able to convert that back to American dollars if you needed to. And if you're kind of a long-term investor, you ride those fluctuations anyway. Unless Solana went right down to zero, which is always a possibility. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not. Pine needles. It's as secure as your confidence in that coin. So Bitcoin could disappear overnight and wipe out billions, trillions in assets. I use scare quotes. So it's just managing your level of risk whether you're and your comfort level. But yeah, these little meme coin shit coins, they're pretty fascinating. I think there's some potential in them, especially if you could draw attention to them, linking them to some kind of project, which I described my projects yesterday. And again, I like the pump.fun platform because it's kind of streaming based. It's oriented toward live content creation, and that's the reward system through the coin valuation increase and the way the platform rewards creators directly is better than YouTube. If you're consistent, can stick with it. I've been inconsistent, and so I haven't been getting rewarded in any kind of way that's notable. But the potential is there. You know, I think we're getting pretty close here. They're going to be pretty rare. This GrainFed piece is pretty beefy as far as, yeah, that was a nice sized steak too. This GrassFed one. Some nice sized pine needles as well. And I think this guy's probably close to done. For me, anyway. I can't do that well done anymore. Or I never could. Growing up, that's how we ate beef in our house, is well done. Did not like it. But these are not going to be well done. So yeah, don't take crypto advice from me. I'm just telling you, sharing what I know, which is not much. But I wouldn't be investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those kind of high profile coins. It's too late. I needed to be investing in that in 2012. But 2025, almost 2026, not going to happen. Not with this cowboy. Not with this filthy farmer. All right, so we're almost ready to dig into these. Max must be losing his mind. I think we're pretty close to give them a try here. So, yeah, I don't know how we compare this. Well, we'll slice through them, see if there's any difference in the appearance of the meat. Probably shouldn't be much. I expect them to look like they did pre-cooked. The one will be more purple, the other one will be more red. So maybe let's pull these off, let them rest for a minute. Right here. Dining station here. And get down to business. Let's go a little higher. Something like that. I don't know what I'm doing. Pine needles everywhere. What the hell? This just could turn into a pine needle fester fest if we're not careful. What the fudge? Sun's shining over there. There's a bright beam of sunlight coming through. Friggin' sun. I didn't know there was sun around here. Just cloudy, rainy, and snowy. So of course we'll smoke while we dine. Give those a few more seconds to just relax. Think about life and the universe. Beautiful day out today though. Yeah. I was just kind of just hanging around the campsite here though. Setting things up, getting my furnace set up. Still a state of chaos inside. I haven't organized much. It's not the tidiest. Cooking dinner. Nice. Let's go see how these are doing. Yeah, so this one is still very juicy. It's a little on the bloody side, so that's fine for me. So we want to, this is the unseasoned portion. Quite rare. Maybe we'll just chop these up. Yeah, that's very rare. That's not terrible. Stick these back on for a little bit. Just to keep warm off the edge. Okay, so here was the GrassFed, GrainFed, and the GrassFed. So I know what that one tastes like, more or less. Max is losing his mind. So let's give the initial bite to the GrassFed. Got a little bit of seasoning on that piece. Well, it doesn't have objectionable taste. I've had some grass-fed. It's very grassy tasting. And that's a little weird because the way a cow's digestive system works, they don't turn grass into protein, or they don't eat grass. They eat grass to feed the organisms inside their gut, and the organisms inside their gut process that grass, digest it, and make the nutrients that the cow will eat. Particularly gristly piece there. bit of the skin from the fat cap on it. I'd say texture-wise, this one is a little less chewy. The grain-fed. Give the grass-fed another chance here. It's not tough, it's just more chew. Well, altogether nice. Yeah, I'm satisfied with both. They're both gonna make a nice addition to my body's biochemistry. And I guess the fascination with the grass-fed, why it's become so popular, is people are afraid of what's going into their food, in the food system that they are unaware of. So it's very hard to make adulterated grass. I suppose you could spray it with weed killer and whatnot before you feed it to the animal. But if you're getting a chunk of cow that's been fed corn and soy, canola, those are all GMO type crops, engineered for industrial use, industrial farm use. And to me, I think the jury's still out about the effectiveness on feeding the world with GMO and the safety of it. And if you look at how that stuff got pushed through by the Bill Clinton administration, there wasn't a lot of testing required for GMO technology. It was all just kind of a blanket declaration. It was all declared safe. I'm not big on believing the government just because they said it. And it seems like more and more anecdotal evidence and actual evidence, farmers that handle the Roundup or glyphosate, the impact it's had on different economies around the world as far as farmers go. Like, once you sign up for a contract to raise GMO crops, like you're pretty much tied to that entity, and it's tough to extract yourself from it. So a lot of farmers in India were really harmed by this, the agronomics of it. Wow, sun is shining. I gotta show you this. It's neat. Wish I can get my forward-facing camera. See, tops of those trees, the sun is trying to shine brighter as it sets over in the west. Yeah, I haven't seen sunbeams like this. It's kind of nice. Yeah, yeah. Trees are all lit up. They're all shiny, bright and shiny. Look at that. First time I've seen that since being here for a week and a day. Very nice, very nice. All right. extreme close up. Here, let's. Better? I recently realized that the organic fruit in the store is cleaned with cleaner that has, yeah, chlorine in it that doesn't wash off. Yeah, and it's the labeling and marketing of some of these products. Organic doesn't mean anything. Or it doesn't mean what you think it means. Now, is it better than conventionally raised or conventionally grown? Possibly, but when I hear organic, your natural inclination is to believe it's clean and unadulterated from any toxins, and that's simply not the case. So yeah, if anything, the grass-fed is just a little chewier. And so yeah, that's dirty marketing when it comes to organic. Other labels to watch for are cage-free, naturally raised when it comes to chickens or eggs. That doesn't mean what you think it means. Or free run chickens, free run eggs. That doesn't mean the chickens are all around the countryside doing their chickeny thing. It means they put a little door to the barn where if the chickens want to go outside to a little 20 by 20 fenced in enclosure, they could go outside, but they don't go outside. And that's what's considered free run. So they're not in cages, which is a good thing. Like caged battery hens or egg-laying hens, I mean, it's a stressful condition, stressful environment. And again, that animal is getting burned out. It's laying an egg a day for X amount of days, and as soon as that production drops, they get rid of that chicken. That chicken is still producing eggs, just not at the rate that makes it worthwhile for the farmer to hold on to that particular hen. So they get turned into pet food or whatever. There's a lot of scammy stuff going on in the food industry. Oh. That's all that bristly shit there. Max can have that. All right, let's get into the meaty part of it. So again, that's the grass fed. A little cooked, a little more cooked on the top side here. Well, let's take a slice off. Yeah, it's a little more cooked through. And then the GrainFed. So this one's still fairly rare inside. I'll put him back on the fire for a bit. Just keep him warm mostly. This one, yeah, I don't think I'd cook him much more than that. So this one is a little more cooked. Let's see if it's any difference in texture. That's the grass fed. I am detecting a little stronger flavor. That isn't due to the spice. I'm gonna get Max out here before he rips a hole in the door. Hey. You've been wondering what's going on out here? Let's set you up over here. All right. Maxie, you can have the bits I don't want. There you go, buddy. But yeah, the whole push for grass-fed is that the consumer or the chewer of the beef would have assurance that a lot of those toxins that they're not aware of in the food system aren't getting into their food. So that might be a legit concern. And allegedly the protein profile of the grass-fed beef is superior. I have my doubts about that. Yeah, it could be finished on GMO corn. Like if it was my animal, oats and barley, that's kind of a traditional blend of what you would finish a beef cattle on. So again, here's the grass-fed. Still a little chewier, not tougher, just chewier. Like not rubbery, but I gotta spend a little more. I gotta spend a little more muscle power. So I think that has to do with the marbling. No, oats and barley are considered cereal crops. Corn and oil would technically be considered oil crops, or corn and canola. Did I say corn and oil? Corn and canola. Soy would be an oil, I guess. Well, it's kind of a protein crop, but they do make soybean oil. But wheat and barley would be true grains, whereas canola are oil seeds. And I guess corn can be starchy as well, but it's not a true cereal like wheat, barley, rye, millet. But oats and barley have a nice protein, carbohydrate, fat profile in those cereals themselves that they're almost ideal for raising cattle. And so back home in Grunthal, that's what my dairy cow would get, a little treat of oats and barley. Too much grains can disrupt their digestive system and create acidosis, and that leads to some detrimental health effects. But really, oats and barley and wheat It's actually wheat is the one that's hard on a cow's digestive system, which leads to elevated acidosis. But generally the cereal crops are not GMO. So somehow the cereal crop lobby or producers or association, they were able to prevent those particular grains to be for the GMO types of them to be marketed. I don't know if they don't exist, whether they prevented them from being developed, or they just can't be marketed. I have a feeling that GMO wheat exists, but something is preventing it from getting into the food supply in general. Here, you want a whole chunk? There. Oh, good catch. So I would have complete confidence in raising an animal on pasture, grass, hay, which are fairly low cost ways of feeding an animal, and then supplementing with the oats and barley towards the end of its life cycle, meaning, whatever day on the calendar you have circled to butcher, you go backwards 4 months or 5 months from that date and start increasing those grains in its ration. Give them a pail of oats and barley a couple times a day or whatever, depending on how many head you have. You might have to have a whole feed mixing setup, but if you just had 1 or 2 animals, a couple of pails mixed together, I'd eat that all day, every day, man. With full confidence that I'm getting good nutrition that's clean. So I kind of hesitate to adopt the purist view that it has to be only grass-fed, because that's how God created these animals and that's what they were meant to eat. And it's like, nah, yeah, yes and no. I would not turn down a meal of grass-fed ribeye if someone offered, but I wouldn't. It would be hard to justify the extra cost because, as I said, it takes longer for someone to raise a grass-fed animal to the size, and longer time means more cost. That's just mathematical reality of it. So some of the big kind of vein of bristle in here. So yeah, I'm not so concerned about the health benefits of grass-fed that I'd be willing to pay more just for a grass-fed hunk of meat. Okay, this piece had a little bit of fat in it, embedded. In the fat, you can really taste the difference. So this tastes a lot more gamey. You got a chunk of fat in there. So that was in the grass-fed. So I pick up the taste in the fat, most certainly. And this one just has the whatever marbling is naturally in there. A little bit of gristly bits here. Max is interested in helping me deal with that. What do you think, Maxie? Are you down for that? What do you think? That piece look nice to you, Maxie? course it does, Daddy. Okay, I'm just gonna cut another sliver off my GrainFed. I probably got enough room to polish all this off. There's the GrainFed. But they're both very nice. But yeah, steer raised on grass and then oats and barley to finish. And again, you continue giving them the grass right up until butchering time. You just increase the amount of grains they get over time so that they pack on the fat and the pounds of protein, because they're still getting protein out of those grains. But they're not getting like the feed conversion from grass to fat is much lower than from grain to fat. So again, it has to do with those organisms inside the cow's stomach that determine how much fat the animal packs on based on his diet. So. But as far as again the health benefits of grass-fed, I'm not there. I'm not convinced that it's superior. And the struggle in Canada is like you can't have truly grass-fed like you can in South Africa or Australia where there's grass year-round. I mean, there's probably not a lot of ranching. Well, there might be some ranching operations in California. But even in, like, say, the Southwest United States, I don't know, there's a ton of good pasture there anyway, but in the northern states like Montana, most certainly North Dakota, and then through the prairies in Canada, like you can't pasture animals year-round. So the grass you get is not fresh green grass, it's hay, which is grass that's been dried out. And so that too adds a factor into the nutrition profile, because the grass is partially fermented, which makes it a little more digestible, but it's not fresh grass, right? So even the term grass-fed has a little asterisk beside it. So it is some grass, some hay. The hay is still grass, but it's different grass. You get my meaning there? I guess another factor to consider is there's a difference between wild pasture and tame pasture. By that I mean over time farmers can turn their pasture into 1 or 2 or 3 different species of grasses. You've got a couple more months than that in North Dakota. I mean, even Manitoba's not that bad. We're north of them. See, back home, my pasture, it was just a mix of probably 25, 30 different plants. Some are considered weeds because they're not necessarily beneficial, but between the different species I had grazing, that the sheep, and chickens, and cattle, they all go after the plants that they like and that they need. Because every plant has something different to offer, whether it's extra selenium or iron or magnesium or whatever. So the animal knows. Somehow it's smart enough to know, eat that plant, but not too much of it, and then move on to this plant because it tastes good. And then go to this plant because I need a little bit of extra calcium, or to this plant because, somehow is just programmed into the whole works there. It's almost like there was a programmer that knew what they were doing. But yeah, we'll save that last little bit for a little late night fester snack. We've got some daylight here. Some festers pulling up the driveway. That was good. So yeah, that's kind of what I expected. A good dining experience. Ribeye versus ribeye. Because I didn't have to purchase that grass-fed steak, and I've got a couple more of them. I don't know what the price per pound is that they're charging if they were selling it. But one of the chefs was mentioning yesterday. Okay, we'll just let this cool down. Let's go inside to check the temperature. Let's go see what's happening on the indoors. The fire's pretty much burned down. Continue this discussion in the warmth. I mean, so I could grab some warmer shoes, but my toes are getting a little chilled. Pepper's crying as usual. So let's just set up this mess here. And you can look at my mess. I'll go fetch Max. Alright, I think I've pretty much run out of propane. I'll have to go check it. The blower doesn't seem to be blowing warm anymore. I think I had just maybe half a tank out there or something, I don't know. I'll go check on it in a bit. I brought Dr. Pepper in, yes. I was just wearing these little light shoes out there, so I was getting a little chilly. Feet are a little wet. It's all good. So what time is it? It's not even 4 o'clock. Well, I've been fed. Cat's been fed. Dog's had a snack. He can wait a few minutes for his main course. So that's about it. That was just a ribeye taste test, side-by-side comparison. About what I expected. Who knocked that over? I gotta get some water for these beasts here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh boy, you got no chill today, Max. Hey, what the? Everybody's just doing their own thing. I need you to do less of your own thing and more of my thing. Whatever that may be. Oh, we got cookies here too. Let me just fill up the bowl for water. That opens up the counter space. Here you go, in grates. Yeah, my countertop is still cluttered up with stuff from my travels. There's a bunch of automotive fluids and adhesives, silicone tubes and crap like that. Didn't want to have that freeze in the trailer, so a bunch of that shit is being stored inside here. So we're not even close to being organized as far as my living setup here, but it's much more comfy than sleeping in the truck. But sleeping in the truck was fine. It was roughing it, most certainly. But this is much better. We'll just have to sort out a propane solution. A lot of guys get them big tanks. There's a propane supplier in town. Propane and propane accessories. Max, you're staying here for a few minutes, okay, buddy? There's a unattended steak on the table that I do not trust you with. It's warm enough, yeah. Last night I didn't even have any heat turned on. I got a little variable watt heater here. Just this tiny thing is enough to warm this place. But the campground owners, they don't want us just using all their power. So this is variable. I think it's a 750 and 1500 watt settings on here. So we'll just put that in for a little bit. But I don't need it that warm in here. Like, what are we at? 65? Here, we'll do this. We'll let Max go outside just to hang out. Get his setup going so he won't be bothering us. Then we'll go for a walk later. There's a bunch of local dogs that he hasn't been introduced to yet, so over the course of time we'll make sure everybody's happy with everybody else. guy right behind me has a dog. How you stay here? Yeah, we're just about 60. So it's not overly warm in here, but not overly cold. But I didn't have any heat on last night while I was sleeping. And it was fine. But today was just to confirm that the furnace actually works, which it does. I just have to get a better quantity of propane to use. There we go, Dr. Pepper done. Almost time for a coffee. Coffee and cookies. There we go. Cozy as can be. So if you too would like to enjoy RV life, I suggest you buy an RV. Find a nice place to park it. Get yourself some ribeyes. Start living like a hobo. There we go. I'm enjoying it. I like this. I like this. Just being out wherever. It's very liberating feeling right now. So, let's see what you tweakers are saying here. Cat wants some ribeye too. Not happening. $5.99 a pound. That's wonderful. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing too. We had. Okay, I'm responding to Joe the Ho. I don't know who gave you that nickname, or saying 2 months of green grass in Montana and Dakotas. Usually by July 4th, it's brown. So yeah, we had pretty dry conditions. Like we had a wet spring in 2025. Some of you recall, we were going to launch that sheep operation at that friend of a friend's farm. And what he ended up doing was cutting all the grass. You know, he had a lawn on 18 acres on his farmyard. And we needed that grass to grow. And he kept mowing it because there were dandelions. And I mean, just kind of weird excuses as to why they did what they did, or why he did what he did. My friend and I were like, what the hell are you doing? Like, the animal, you're mowing down all their food. So by the beginning of June, or by the end of June, that's when it got really dry. And that grass he kept mowing didn't come back. The grass just went dormant through end of June, July, and August. And then it got rainy again at the end of August and September. Very wet this fall. And so yeah, that's a factor to have to deal with for pasture. But as far as guys that were cutting hay, their crops were doing fairly good. They got some nice bales made. Most guys got at least 1 or 2 cuts of hay baled up, where there was a mix of alfalfa and other grasses. Hay cropping is a whole art to it as well. But the guys that were baling hay, they did fairly well. And so yeah, you got to kind of take into account conditions. But if and I guess for the crops this year, the conditions were pretty good. Like corn likes it hot and dry. Needs a little bit of rain, but even most of the cereal crops and oil crops, they seem to be doing pretty good back home. I don't know what they were like in other regions, but but yeah, if you're kind of in a drought zone or you got unseasonable weather patterns, yeah, that's a factor, most certainly. But yeah, if it was only dead grass by 4th of July, well, that sucks. But that's typically not. In my observance, there's wet years, there's dry years. Like there's this climate change thing is real in the sense that yeah, climate changes, but it doesn't change in one direction only. So yeah, I mean, years past there in BC and Alberta, it was the forest fires, right? Well, I forget what year it was, 2023 or whatever. Like there were next to no forest fires. Like you couldn't blame climate change because there were no fires, like literally none. This year, I think we smoked you guys out pretty good though, from time to time. But another factor there is just government policy on firefighting. Which was better? Well, you're gonna have to go back and watch it. I'm not backtracking for you. It's not a matter of which is good for them. Like, there's benefits to both. Like with hay too, you could take a crop like straight oats and cut it when it's not ripened yet. Like when it's called green feed. And so when you got the immature seed pods or seed stalks, and you cut them while it's still not fully ripened, and then you bale them up, and then you wrap those bales. That's called silage, and that oat will ferment. You do it with all kinds of different crops, sorghum. You do it with hay bales. You know, if you like with hay, you need good weather. You need good dry weather, like for 5 days, because you cut your hay. You gotta let it dry for a couple of days. You might even turn it once, and then on like the 5th day you bale it. So you need like a stretch of good, consistent dry weather. And this fall, like the farmers couldn't get those 5 days in a row. And so if you cut your hay and it gets rained on, well, the quality of that hay goes down. Whereas if you got nice premium hay that was baled under the right conditions and just everything kind of lined up and was perfect, well, that hay is going to keep for a long time and stay, fresh. It's not going to rot. And then it's better nutrition. But if it gets deteriorated by moisture in the form of rain, it's not going to dry properly, and by the time you bale it, that bale is not dry enough. And if you bale wet grass, it's going to rot, or worse, it'll burn. It'll heat up. You get this spontaneous heating happening if it's not dry enough. So again, there's a science and an art to haymaking as well. But the fresh grass, I mean, I guess that's ideal. Again, it's not a reality to say you can feed your cattle anyway on fresh grass from calf to butcher. because the life cycle of that animal is going to span at least one winter, maybe two. And so you got to come up with ways to feed them where there is no pasture. So again, you got to work with what you got, and in our climate, you got to most certainly have some hay bale. Silage can smell nice. Some of it is like, man, that's good enough to eat. I'd like that. Storms are more extreme and severe. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't experienced that. Other than if you observe patterns with certain vehicles they put in the sky that sprays certain things that they deny they're spraying. I don't know. I think there is a capacity to alter weather patterns, whether it's contributing to some severity of those storms. I don't know. I don't know these things, and I kind of stopped going down the rabbit holes to try to figure it all out. It's like I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna do my thing. So yeah, if there's a storm that wipes me out, it wipes me out. If not, I live another day. But yeah, if someone is messing with the weather or fucking with the weather, stop it, please. Would you stop it? It's not because we're not recycling our plastic bottles or because the cows are farting too much. It's somebody's doing stuff they shouldn't. Yeah, they admit to weather modification, and yeah, it's in all their documents. The patents are there. There's regulations and legislation that prevents unchecked use of weather modification. But no, that you're a conspiracy theorist, right? So Max is scratching to get out, and now he's barking to get. He's just tweaking hard, man. Tweaking hard. Growing up, we had maybe 1 or 2 days of snow in winter, and it rarely got above 90 in the summer. Now we have many snow days or weeks, and often 95, 100, 105. Sorghum looks like corn when it's ripe. It's a lot of small seed, good for chickens. Yeah. Make molasses, sugar. Northeast Pennsylvania only got pretty smoky here at times. Yeah, we had some pretty decent smokeouts. If you remember some live streams from the summertime, it was coming from out west to southeastern Manitoba where I was, and that's a distance away. I mean, the Rocky Mountains are a good 900 miles, and that's kind of the central point. So even northern Alberta, I don't know. Again, it comes down to policy. A fire starts, and then the response to fight the fire is nonsensical. Like they just let it burn. I don't know who's in charge of that, but they shouldn't be in charge anymore. Especially when the locals are willing and able to protect their properties and help fight the fires, they won't let them. If you want to, go past their checkpoint or blockade and try to fight the fire yourself, well, you get arrested, right? But the smoke is only drifting down to the Americans, so who cares? Let them cough a little bit. But yeah, as far as climate patterns changing, and it being a result of anthropogenic activity, anthropogenic climate change, meaning human caused. Well, I think humans are causing some of these bizarre weather patterns, but it's not you and me. It's the people that have that actual capacity to do it. Pollution, yeah, there's what I've discovered is that politicians, government officials, bureaucrats, here you would call them cabinet ministers or say the Minister of the Environment or Minister of Economics, Minister of Finance. In the States, you call them what? Secretary of festering. Here we call them ministers, there you call them secretaries. Those people know nothing about ecology. They don't have a clue, and they're the ones making policy. And the people working for them, it appears they do not have a clue about ecology whatsoever. Like, they just do not know the basics. And it seems to translate through every department, whether it's finance or defense. You know, it's just, don't know what you guys think you know, but it seems clear that you're incompetent and your track record speaks for itself. Well, I prefer it be warmer here, so if I can cause some global warming by getting a few more cows to fart, I'll eat as many ribeyes as it takes. I'm up to the challenge to raise that global temperature by 3 degrees. I'm in. So I'm being a little bit facetious here, but yeah, they're pointing the finger at the wrong people. It's not you and I that are causing any form of of climate change by driving around our Cavaliers or F-150s or Lord knows what. But it's institutional industrial polluters, and they're the ones that actually run this place. So it comes down to political influence, which you and I don't have much of. So just start your own political party and govern yourself. That's my advice. Yeah. Roundup flowing into the Gulf of Mississippi. Yeah. It's sort of like you never saw that coming. You never saw the downside of draining pesticides, herbicides, broad spectrum weed killer into waterways. You never anticipated that there would be detrimental effects. Worst case, you can have oceanfront property. Yeah, we'll see. Again, those rising oceans have yet to see it. I mean, we were told back in 2002, 2003 that we only had 15 years, and then the oceans were going to be inundating Manhattan, and the California coastline was going to be underwater, and so none of that actually happened. I'm more afraid of those super volcanoes, Yellowstone and a couple other major ones in the States. Those are a threat. Nothing I can do about that either. But yeah, I'm not worried about the oceans rising by half an inch. That sounds fine to me. Because in 15 years, it didn't raise 6 feet like you promised us. I was waiting on that. It's like, yeah, where's my oceanfront property? And here I am, still landlocked. So they lied. Go look up what Lemmy Kilmister thinks about politicians. There's some interesting perspectives there. Basically just calls them a bunch of fucking liars. Which they are. So if you're a politician watching this, get wrecked. Quit your job. Go be a producer instead of a parasite. Quit your job. do something useful with your life, stop lying, and be a contributing member of society instead of a leech. So, the only leech we need is Bao. So, the rest of you leeches, get the fuck out of here. And that's our political commentary for the days. So, sun is setting. All those glorious sunbeams we saw earlier, they're faded away. It's all gone. It's almost time for coffee. Almost time for bed. Let's see if we can be in bed by 6 p.m. tonight. I find that's actually been a benefit to me, is not staying up late anymore. We do have a leech in Bell, yes. In leeches, we put our trust. They said we had about 15 years to turn around our trajectory, also in 50 to 60 years we'd see major coasting. Well, I think you're a few years younger than me, but I've lived through many fear-mongering propaganda campaigns through my life. First, there was we were going to have an ice age in the 70s if we didn't do something fast, and then it was we burnt a hole in the ozone layer. So actually, the ozone it repaired itself once we got the CFCs under control. You know, the aerosolized propellants, etc. And the ozone, it's not a deal anymore. But we were all gonna shake and bake because of the ozone. Then it was global warming, and then they realized, well, it's not actually warming; it's just changing. So we'll call it climate change. But regardless, you gotta stop what you're doing and do what we tell you, and give us money, and we'll fix the problem. So, just a word to the wise: giving more money to government is not going to fix any problem ever. It has yet to happen. We're still waiting for the first success of that being the case, where you give more money to the government to fix a problem that they say exists, and guaranteed they will not take your money and fix the problem. Again, if I'm wrong, you know, maybe there's an example out there. I don't know. Give us more money. We'll raise your taxes. Give us more money, and we got this. Don't believe they're lying. They lie. Why you always be lying? Why you be lying? They always lying. Weather modification becomes weather weaponry systems, weaponry systems that the East and the West can use on one another, and the frogs in the pot. Well, yeah, and they're turning the frogs gay, don't you know? Poor frogs. Coffee, cookies, cozy up bed, watch YouTube. Yeah, that's my plan. Ozone did repair itself. We had to change our behaviors. Well, it's sort of like, okay, maybe that's an example. Like, we didn't have to throw money at the problem. Change behavior, yeah, but eating less ribeyes, that change in behavior is not going to benefit the planet. That's just propaganda. The gay frogs in the pot. And damn gay frogs. Well, I haven't seen any gay frogs around here, so that's fortunate. Maybe that problem hasn't reached my shores yet. But yeah, things like using wood to heat your homes. You know, there's been an attack on that, saying, oh, it's releasing particulate. Well, you need particulate in the air to have weather. To have rainstorms, you need a certain amount of solid particulate matter in the air. I guess just doesn't everybody know that? Or it seems like the government doesn't know that. So yeah, does it not make sense to cull all the dead wood out of these forested regions, bringing down the risk of forest fires with all that dead fuel just sitting on the ground waiting to be released as carbon dioxide? I mean, those forest fires, they release a lot of carbon. Mind you, I don't believe that carbon is the driving factor. It's kind of well established that carbon levels follow temperature rise, not the other way around. Well established. So, again, why are you lying? Why are you lying? But you try to tell somebody who's convinced, fully indoctrinated, that you're just wasting your time. So I'm not into wasting my time. I'm into eating ribeyes and tweaking and festering and watching YouTube. But Max is losing his mind, so I think I'll go see what the hell his problem is. And we'll shut this down for tonight, because it's time to start just cozying up to an evening of doing nothing. Wood burning, yeah, it's nonsensical, but that's kind of the policy. That's the propaganda. Don't burn wood to heat your home. We'll supply you with a better source of fuel. And then when you have no other options, we'll jack up the price. Who likes paying exorbitant amounts for natural gas and hydroelectric power? Damn Bigfoots, that's got to be what it is out there. All right, all. Have a good night. We'll see you on the next one. Stay tweaky.